Hey everyone, so this is just some advice that I have for people who are looking into becoming full-time RVers. I'm probably not the most experienced person to give you the best advice because we've only been on the road for 5 months, but I can definitely tell you from experience some good guidelines, I guess you could say. When you go and look for an RV, I would highly suggest checking out all the different kinds of RVs. There's Class A's, Class B's, Class C's, travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, pop-ups. So you're gonna want to see, yes, people do live in pop-ups, FYI. So you're gonna want to see which one would best suit your needs, and don't go over your budget, or just because it's bigger and fancier doesn't mean it's going to suit your needs. So go with what you need, and then just go from there. If you're going to be like us and buy a RV on Craigslist, then I'm going to highly suggest you take someone who is experienced and more knowledgeable in the RV world and knows what to look for and is really educated in this field. Take a whole paper full of questions that you have, write down notes, and really soak it all in if you're going for Craigslist, and don't just buy it spur of the moment. Really think about it and have it inspected if you possibly could. We bought this one pretty quickly, and we didn't really think too much about it, but after we got it and we let it sit in storage for like a month, we went back and there was water streaks all down this wall in the front here under the window, and then in our boys' room all on that wall. So both of those walls had to be tore out completely to the bones and replaced. So that was not fun, and it was serious water damage. We couldn't travel like that. It wouldn't have been safe. And especially since our boys' room was really bad, I could only imagine what could grow from the horrible water damage that it had. So there's that, and just really make sure that you have what you need, not what you want, because if you get what you need right now, then you can save for what you want later. I'm going to really just suggest to stick with whatever budget you have and not go outside of it. My husband and I had contemplated back and forth a lot of times about financing, and we finally just came down to that's not the life we wanted. We wanted to get out of debt, not get even more in debt. So we ended up with this trailer, which was $3,000, and we fixed it up to our own needs and our own style, and it works pretty well for us, and we don't plan on upgrading or getting a different trailer anytime soon because it's just not in the budget and it's unrealistic. But if you get what you need right now, then you won't be sorry later if financial difficulties come up in the future. I really suggest that you go on the road and you own your RV, and if you have a towing vehicle, then own that as well. Or if you're going to tow a vehicle, everything that you have on the road, I suggest that you own, because if something comes up and you lose your job on the road, or you just don't have the funds, then the possibility of your home getting taken and you being out on the streets is a reality. So take that into consideration. There's just a whole list of things that I have for you to be prepared for. I would highly suggest you having an emergency savings. Like, we were coming down from Kansas to Texas and we couldn't properly heat our RV, especially having 2 little ones. We had to get a hotel room just to keep them warm and just to really just be on the safe side with everything. So that would have come out an emergency fund had we had one. And this is more of a do as I say, not do as I do, because we don't have an emergency fund per se. We have a land fund, which is our future fund. But I would definitely say get an emergency fund, and I think the rule of thumb is make sure it's 1 month of your living expenses as your emergency fund. But if you have more than that, that's awesome, and that's way to be prepared. So when you're traveling, I would highly suggest you have a paper map instead of, well, in lieu of a GPS, because a GPS isn't always right, and we have found that out the hard way. And we actually used to, my husband and I, pre-kids, used to travel a lot, and we only traveled by paper map, and we can navigate pretty easily with that. But a trucker's map in specific is what you need when you are a full-time RV'er. So make sure you're on the roads that are specific to people who drive long rigs, and that'll help you out a lot. If you have a cell phone, you're going to want to make sure that you have good coverage if you're going to be traveling all over the US. I have switched my coverage, and my husband has already switched our carrier, our provider, twice already. So that's been annoying, but it's worked out now. We get good coverage and it's fine. And we're on pay-as-you-go phones, so we're on the super cheapies because we're on a tight budget, and we just really don't feel a need to sign a contract and be in a situation where we have to pay every single month. We have definitely let our phones lapse more than one time since being full-time, and we're okay with that. A phone isn't necessarily what we need. As long as one of us has a working phone, then we're cool. So we also have I forgot what it's called, but on my tablet I can access and call people from it. Magic Jack, that's what it is. I have that app installed on my tablet, so as long as I have Wi-Fi, I actually have a phone. So I don't need a paying phone as long as I have Magic Jack. You need to decide if you're going to be boondocking most of the time, or if you're going to be at a campground, because if you're going to be boondocking, you're going to need different stuff than you would if you were going to be at a campground, and you need to be prepared for that, like a generator, a reliable water source, and know how all that stuff works. When you get your RV, you're going to want to spend time in it before you actually become full-time. I would suggest camping local to your Sticks and Bricks house in case anything happens, so that you can easily get help. And then from there, just move farther and farther away until you get used to your camper and you're really comfortable in it, so that when you're on the road, you know what to do if something happens. I would suggest spending time with your friends and family as much as you can. If you're really serious about becoming a full-timer and living in an RV, then soak up that time with your friends and family before you go, especially if you just really don't know when you're going to be back around that area again. The whole mailing address thing, there are several different options. We actually just use my mother-in-law's address, and then she forwards everything to us if we're not at a campground. We're at a campground right now, so we just use their address, and I believe most campgrounds that you're going to be at will allow you to do that. So just ask for permission first and take it from there. But there's also a company in Texas where you can become full-time, and they would pretty much take care of everything. They would pretty much take care of everything for you, and forward your mail and sort it for you to wherever you want. and I forgot the name of that, but I'm sure that I will edit that in there whenever I can think of it. And you're going to want to, wherever your address is, you're going to want to have your rig and your vehicles and your driver's license and your whole address changed to that state. So just look into that and see which state would best suit you, and if it's a state you already live in, then there's not really too much else that you have to do. Make sure that you have medical insurance. It's really important. I suggest that you beef up your first aid kit pretty seriously, and also I suggest that you learn a little bit more about first aid than your typical person would, so that you would know what would happen in case you're not around anyone or close enough for someone to help you. We have a pretty beefy first aid kit, and ours includes a lot of essential oils and other natural remedy stuff, but there are definitely times when you're going to need medical insurance, so make sure that you have that, and also make sure that you have full coverage insurance on your RV. In case anything happens to it, you're going to want to make sure that you're taken care of, and you're going to have another place to live in, and your insurance would take care of that. There are several different providers, insurance carriers, that would help with full-time insurance. You just have to look into that. So, and make sure that it's full-time coverage, like you live in your RV full-time, so that they know that. Because there's a definite difference between weekend campers and full-timers. I would suggest that you move your stuff in slowly, and this is another do as I say, not as I do, because we pretty much threw all of our stuff in here in one day within 3 hours and then left, and it was a horrible way to do it, and I wish that we would have been more smart about it and not so rushed. But I would really suggest that you slowly just move your stuff in, and then it won't be so stressful once your actual date to leave comes along. Also, I would suggest starting to sell your stuff 6 to 8 months before you leave, because just slowly sell it. Sell the stuff that you don't need right now, and then just leave yourself with bare bones and your sticks and bricks until it's time to go, and then have buyers set up. That way you're not stressed out the last month or two trying to sell everything in your apartment or house or whatever you have. It would help a lot if you just eased into it. Get on some good help pages like RV pages, and there's forums online, and there's also really helpful Facebook pages, especially if you're new. There are lots of Facebook pages that are just really kind and really understanding. Everyone has been there. Everyone has been new at one point, so everyone is usually pretty nice about questions that you may have. If you're wanting to be at campgrounds, do your research on memberships. We personally do not have any memberships for campgrounds like Thousand Trails. A lot of full-timers have Thousand Trails, and we don't, probably because we choose to work camp almost the entire time that we'll be on the road. So that's not something that we're interested in, but if you're going to be interested in that, then check into that. Let's see, I would highly suggest getting extra propane tanks, especially if you are going to be camping in the winter. It can be such a pain in the rear to switch out your propane tanks and go somewhere to have them filled up. It's always good to have an extra one so that you're not having to be out of any propane at all. I would suggest buying a surge protector, especially if you're going to be at a campground, because we have already experienced our power being out at the first campground that we stayed at, and our surge protector has definitely helped just in that situation itself. So we didn't lose our fridge, which is I think pretty much the only thing that we always have plugged in, because we don't own a microwave. So, but it would save on all your major appliances that are plugged in, like if you had an expensive blender or something like that as well. Pack light in your RV. You do not need everything you own, believe it or not, and when you just take what you need and not everything that you want, you're gonna feel a whole lot better about it anyways. But also there are weight limits on all RVs, so you're gonna want to make sure that you are under your weight limit preferred, or at least right at your weight limit for safety reasons. I believe we're way under our weight limit right now, and probably because we just don't have a lot of stuff. But you can get your RV weighed at any truck stop, and they should be able to help you there know how much you should be weighing. Well, I think if you look online the type of RV you have, they'll tell you how much you should weigh, and then the truck stop will tell you how much you actually weigh. Make sure that your tires on your RV are pretty new or in really good condition. There are so many horror stories out there about tires popping and tires that are bad and the tread on them just isn't good, or the ply on them is incorrect. Make sure that you have accurate tires that belong on your RV, and preferred, if you can afford it, new. When we got this RV, getting brand new tires was number one on our list. So we got all 4 new tires, which was really helpful. Let's see. If you're in debt, you're probably going to want to make a plan to pay that on the road, or if you're like some other people, then you can stay in your home state and at a campground in one spot until you get it all paid off, and then go on the road. So whichever works best for you. We are in debt and we are on the road, so we're just working with that right there. Know how much space you need in your RV. If you have dogs or kids or something, really understand the space limitations. We have 2 kids and we don't have any slides, so they have like this narrow pathway right here that they run back and forth on all the time if we don't get outside. So know how much space you need. And as far as how much it costs to actually be a full-time, that question is going to vary between every single person that you ask. So it can be expensive or as cheap as you want it to be. So if you work camp, that's going to make a huge difference. If you don't, you know, you're going to be paying a lot more. It's just, everyone's different, and some people decide to make payments and other people decide to be debt-free on the road. So everything is different. Also, just a little bit of advice: when we first became full-time RVers, we had an issue with flies constantly getting here, so invest in a fly swatter, and I think everyone I know has had an issue with that, especially in the summertime. And also get a fireproof lockbox to like put your social security card and just personal stuff in, so that in case anything did happen, that would be completely safe. And also just know that if you buy a new rig or an old rig, no matter what, you're gonna have issues, and that's just life, and that's just RVs are not typically made to be lived in full-time, so no matter what, you're gonna have problems. And don't get stressed out about it. Just do your research and stay calm and be happy that you live in something that you own and get to do what you want, which a lot of people don't. So stuff is going to come up in your RV, a tire is going to blow, or something's going to happen, or your fridge is going to break, and it's okay. Most of the time, all those things are going to be an easy fix, and it's a lot easier to maintain than a sticks and bricks house. So I hope that helped give you a little bit of information on stuff you need to know before you become a full-time RVer. Thanks for watching. Bye.